Well, ladies, here we have it. I've made the video on how you can create this awesome card that you're going to mail to your hostess as a twofer. It is a thank you card and is also a record of all of the awesome things that her guests at her show said about her. Anna, you're outgoing, you're pretty, you're witty, you're caring, you're beautiful. You're funny, you're gorgeous, you're dependable, you're happy, you're social. Because of you serving others, she has a card, and then guess what it'll do? He like puts it on a table, and people like say,
where'd you get that from?
Oh, I hosted a Premier Designs jewelry party.
With who?
With Christine Cruz, with Natalie, with Joanne, with Lena.
Advertising, hello, don't you think about this?
And then she's gonna feel so awesome that maybe she's gonna wanna book another show and maybe another show, and then other people are gonna wanna book other shows because they're gonna wanna have this. It reminds them of all of the recognition and all of the awards they got when they were in school. And maybe they'll wanna be jewelers. Seriously, chill out, stop. Okay, sorry, getting a little bit carried away, but I'm so excited because yay, it looks pretty, doesn't it? So I'm gonna go ahead and show you all of the tools, the tips, the tricks on how to create this. But first of all, how does this work? As your home show, you can use this one of two ways. The first one is an icebreaker. So when everyone gets there and they introduce themselves, you can ask them to say a little bit about themselves, but then also to describe the hostess in one adjective. One way to describe her, one word, not a huge story, just one word. Go ahead and jot that down, maybe a little secret, so she doesn't see it. You can compile a list later on when you get home at night, and you can make this awesome card. The other way is, instead of the purse game, it's the same concept, but rather than women pulling out
P for pencil and gum for, golden guarantee
and all that, they can go ahead and select a word that describes your hostess as well. So it's up to you how you want to substitute this and how you want to make this happen. So without further ado, let me stop talking and let's get started. So go ahead and go into your address bar at the top of your browser and type in wordle.net, and it'll take you to this screen right here. This is the home page. So let me explain what Wordle is about. It creates word clouds that are based on the frequency of the words that are typed into the creation page. I'm gonna just show you what it does. We're gonna go ahead and click on create your own. But I went to the Premier Designs website and I went to the about page and clicked on our vision, and I copied and pasted all of this into a word cloud. What this does is it takes the frequency of words that are typed into a certain web page. You can try this with any web page that you see. And however many times a certain word appears more than once, that word grows bigger. So I went ahead and I pasted it and I pressed go. And that is an example of a word cloud. Let me change the colors so that it's easier for you guys to see. And you'll be doing this too when it's time for you to do it. As you can see, these are just black backgrounds and that's hard on the eye to view. But so that's what that means. In that text that I pasted, that means the words that appear the most are Premier Designs, Provide, Growth, Defined, and Work. And I thought that was pretty interesting that within their vision statement, those words seem to pop out the most. After you type in your hostess's adjectives that describe her, I'll take you to that in a second on how you're gonna do the same thing, but let's just work with this so that the layout is more pleasing to the eye. You have a bunch of tabs up here. You're not gonna use edit or language for anything. Let's go ahead and change the font first. The one that I tend to like the most is either grilled cheese or telephoto, so I'm gonna just show you what that looks like. But I don't like how they zigzag all over the place. Perhaps you do, and depending on the energy of your hostess, you might think that that defines her well. But because I want to print this as a 5x7 landscape card, I want the layout to be more horizontal. So I can have all of the words be horizontal, or some of them, or mostly. I like mostly because I do want them in different directions. And then that looks a lot more pleasing to the eye for me. You can play around and hit randomize and it'll do totally different fonts and totally different colors and totally different directions, but I like to have control over this. And so I'm sure every time that I do this, I'm gonna want to, sorry, I'll get to colors in just a second, stick with the same fonts and of course the same layout, which for me is mostly horizontal. So let's talk about colors. I want to always use the Premier colors, but if you're doing this during Christmas time or Halloween and you want to be festive, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm going to edit the custom palette. The one thing about Wordle is that every time you do this, you're gonna have to edit the palette, but you'll get used to it. You're allowed to use up to 5 colors, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Make sure your background is white, unless you want your background to be any other color. It'll print in pink, let's say. But I'm cheap with my ink, so I'm gonna keep my background as white. All right, so then my first color will be, I'm gonna go ahead and go with this hot pink. And then I'm gonna go ahead and go with, that's too hot, that's, I guess, pretty good. That's like the Premier green right there. It doesn't really matter. I guess more of like a teal. What am I missing? And that reddishy, this one, kind of peachy color. And I'm gonna keep that gray because it's fun and modern and fresh. So then I'm gonna press OK, and look how cool that looks. Fun, springy, summery, looks like a Jolie necklace on paper. So let's go ahead and get started with actually putting in the adjectives that all of the guests said about your hostess. Her name was Brianna. Because we want it to appear large on this paper, I'm gonna enter her name several times. Remember, this is based on the frequency of entered text. I'm gonna just enter it a lot of times. The more you enter it, the larger it gets. Some of the words were outgoing. And if I want that to be larger as well, I'll put it more than once. So you will see. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and press go. And remember earlier I said that the layout, at least for me, I prefer it to be mostly horizontal. And I'm gonna try that again because I don't like that. So let me go ahead and change the font. So cool that it got. And I want the layout, let's press any which way and then mostly horizontal. There we go, I like that a lot. Remember the colors, we have to edit the custom palette. I feel like there's too much purple. Could press recolor. Pressing recolor keeps the color in your color palette. It just shifts the colors around on the words. So I like how that looks a lot. Now, one of the things that Wordle struggles with is you're not able to save the image to your computer. So the only way around this is to either print it now and cut it out and just slip it in a note card, or I'm gonna go ahead and just print this screen. And by pressing the print screen button, it takes a copy of your screen and it saves it as a photo on your desktop. And then you can insert it into Microsoft Word after that. I have a Mac, so I'm gonna be doing something different, but I'll help you out if you don't know how to do print screen. So for a Mac, if you have it, I'm gonna go ahead and press Command, Shift, and 4, and that gives me this little cross, and I can go ahead and select where I want it to copy, and that looks just about right for me. I want it to be probably as close to the edge as possible. And if you can hear the screenshot noise as if it's taking a picture, it's automatically saved onto my desktop. And so here's my desktop. Hello, darling. And it automatically saved it here for me. And so I'm gonna go ahead and click on it just to make sure that it looks good and I'm happy with it. Awesome. And so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go into Microsoft Word, and you will see that I found this template that's already like a greeting card. I can figure out how to print out a greeting card and fold it and all that, but maybe the picture is off center or it's just too much of a pain for me. So I found this template, we'll put it in Dropbox, and it's just so much easier to add the photo this way. So don't worry about any of this, it doesn't really matter. Just make sure that when you paste the photo of your word cloud, you're gonna put it on the bottom portion. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert the photo. I know you can't see the top of the screen, I apologize. Insert photo. And for me, it is from my file, and I know that I saved it on my desktop. And I should have saved it to Premiere, but for now, it's fine. And so here it is, looks awesome. Now, because I have an eye for design, I can see that this got cut off a little bit. So I'm gonna just make it a little bit smaller. And that looks good for me. Now, the directions up here, it says when your card is ready to print, click on Printworks logo at the top left of this page and hit delete. So thank you to Printworks for your awesome template. If you don't do that, your card's gonna print with all that stuff on it. So just click on that, press delete or backspace, and voila, it goes away. And so once you print this, you'll be able to fold it and be awesome.
Awesome, cute, cutie patootie. Awesome, awesome, awesome card.